All right, so today we're going to talk about histograms as our next graph. So I don't know if you guys know this, but there are actually two types of histograms. There's actually two types of histograms, and there's a bar graph. All right, so I think in your minds you might have thought there's only like one type of these things, but there's actually three. There's bar graphs, which is about categorical variables, and then there's two types of histograms, which is for numerical variables. And there's just subtle differences between these, okay? The difference between a bar graph and a histogram visually is that bar graphs will have gaps between each bar. All right, there'll be gaps between each bar. In a histogram, like this example up here, you notice that there is no gaps between the bars. All right, so let's talk about the first type, okay? When to use this graph is when you have univariate numerical data. Univariate numerical data. And the two different types we're going to talk about for histograms is we're going to have a discrete version and a continuous version, right? Because numerical data, we have discrete numerical and continuous numerical. If you guys remember, discrete is like counting, like number of pets, number of siblings, pairs of shoes. Continuous were like measurements, like weight, height, head circumference, okay? So let's talk about the discrete one first. So how to make it is you're gonna draw a horizontal scale, mark it and tally it with all the different possible values. You're gonna have a vertical scale as well. And the vertical scale, you're always gonna be either frequency or relative frequency, okay? So the vertical axis is always frequency or relative frequency. And those are your two options. Okay, and then above each value on the x-axis, the horizontal one, you're gonna draw a rectangle above any each of those values corresponding with its frequency or its relative frequency. All right, so I think stuff you guys really kind of know already. So if you want to do comparative, you just do it side by side on the same scale. I'll show you guys an example of that later. Okay, so let's just do an example. If you have a straight edge, that could be helpful in making your first histogram. All right. So speaking of Beyonce's birthday, queen bees for our first example. Okay, let me go ahead and have Nick. Nick, can you read this one out for us?
Yeah.
Thanks.
A study on honeybees provided the following data on the number of partners for 30 queen bees. Create a histogram for the number of partners of the queen bees.
Awesome. Thanks, Nick. Okay. So go ahead and we're going to draw first a horizontal scale. So go ahead and draw a horizontal line. And yeah, don't worry about conserving space. You have all that space, okay? And then look at the lowest and the highest number your scale needs to be. So what is the lowest number of partners you guys see in this data set?
1.
1, nice. All right, so 1. So actually I probably would start at 0 and then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, all the way up to what is the highest number you guys see?
12.
Nice, 12. Okay, so jumping by ones, all right, seems doable, right? From 0 to 12, that seems doable. If it was like 100, then maybe I would jump by tens, okay? So that's why it's always good to look at the lowest number and then the highest number and decide how much you want to jump for each tick. All right, so go ahead and break up your horizontal axis into 12 pieces, kind of like that. Okay, next, go ahead and do a vertical axis. Okay, and vertical axis, this one, the data set doesn't look that big, so I think jumping by intervals of 1 or by 1 makes sense. So I'm going to go ahead and do the same thing. 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7, I think should be enough. All right, and then now, first, let's actually label these axes, okay? So on the bottom, I would write like number of partners, okay? Yeah, number of partners. And then since we're counting, for the vertical axis, I would label that frequency. So number of partners on the horizontal, frequency as the vertical. All right, and now we just count. Okay, so I'm gonna assign people to a number and just count how many times does that number appear in the data set. Okay, so Alyssa, I'm gonna put you down for 1. Vic, you have the number 2 partners. Luca, you're on 3. Lily, you got 4. Sophie, you got 5. Karis, you got 6. Matthew, 7. Angelus, 8. Bernard, 9. Margot, 10. Kira, 11. And Johnny, 12. Okay, so just look through the data and see how many times your number appears. And then we're gonna draw a rectangle with that height above each of those numbers. Okay, who got number 1?
I did, and it was only in there once.
Once. Okay, perfect. So when you guys draw your rectangle, be careful how you draw it. You want to draw it where, for 1, the 1 is right in the middle of the rectangle. And Alyssa said it only appeared once. We're going to make the height 1. All right, and that's your first bar. Okay, number 2, who had number 2? Uh-oh, who had number 2? Ooh, okay.
Oh, there you go. I have number 2, yeah.
Oh, there we go. All right, Vic, how many 2s do you see?
2. I see just one time as
1?
well.
Awesome. All right,
For
so
2.
center
Yeah.
2 at 1 and going up to a height of 1. Nice. Okay, so that's your second bar. Nice. Next, 3. How many do you see?
1, 3.
1, 3. All right. So far, so good. We got that one. All right, thank you. 4. How many 4s?
There's 3 4s.
3 4s. Nice. Okay, so we got 3 as the height of that bar. Again, 4 centered right in the middle. 5. How many 5s?
I counted 2 5s.
2 5s. Thank you, Sophie. All right, 6. How many 6s?
I counted 5 6s.
5 6s. All right, so going up to a height of 5. Nice. Okay, 7. How many 7s?
There are 7 7s.
Ooh, there are 7 7s. Okay. 7 7s. Oh, oops. Sorry, my cursor disappeared. Ooh, oops. Does that ever happen to you guys where your like cursor disappears? Because that happens to me and it.
Yeah, that happens to me, and I don't know if you're on a MacBook.
Yeah,
but
MacBook Air.
I'll press like F3 and F4 where it brings up like all the apps, and then close.
And it pops
like
up.
I'll just spam those 2 buttons, and it will come back.
Oh, really? Oh, good to know. Okay, thanks. Life hack. Thanks, Luca. Okay,
No problem.
sweet. Okay, number 8. How many 8s do we have?
4.
4. All right, so we got 4 8s. 9, how many 9s do we have?
2.
2, thank you. How many 10s do we have?
2.
2, thank you. Sorry, that was supposed to be the same height. And 11s?
There's 1.
There's 1 and 12. John.
Oh, sorry. 1.
All right, 1. Awesome. Okay, guys, there it is. So, oh, I should type in, so number of partners, and then I wish I can do vertical text, but I can't, so you should do it. But frequency should be on this vertical axis. Oops. Ah. Okay, so I'm just gonna do that since I can't twist it around. And what's the only thing that's missing? There's one more thing that's kind of missing. Anybody?
A title.
Title, good job. Yes, always have a title. That way you can, oh, cool, Luca, that worked, thanks. You could have context, right? Like number of partners, like are we talking like people here or like what's going on? So I would say number of partners for queen bees. All right, and that's it. So that is your histogram for a discrete numerical variable. Okay, any questions? All right, good job, guys. So I want to clear this. And oops, there we go. All right. So the key for a discrete is that the number is right in the middle of the rectangles of each bar, right? So it's exactly 1, exactly 2, exactly 3, okay? If we were to do a relative frequency histogram for this, it would look actually exactly the same. It's just the vertical axis is percent or proportion, but visually it actually looks very much the same. Okay, let's talk about our last one, continuous. Same thing, univariate numerical data, but this time we're gonna do intervals, all right, on the horizontal axis. Vertical axis, exactly the same, frequency or relative frequency, and then we draw the rectangles matching to those frequencies and relative frequencies. Okay. So here's an example just to show you guys. Notice the difference, okay? This one, the context is the study examined the length of hours spent watching TV per day for a sample of children age 1 and a sample of children age 3. All right, so we have comparative histograms comparing relative frequencies. We got children's age 1, children age 3. And really the key here that is different is notice where the rectangles are relative to the numbers. The number isn't centered in the bar like for a discrete. Instead, it's spanning between intervals. It's between 0 to 2, 2 to 4, 4 to 6, okay? So the rectangles are just placed differently, right, than in a discrete. And this is what a comparative histogram looks like. It's just same x-axis, okay, and it's just side by side. So you can see here, at least for this study, children age 1 seem to actually watch more TV than children age 3, right? You have a lot more in the 2 to 4 range. Right here, it's a lot more between 0 to 2. Okay, any questions about that? Our continuous variable histogram. Okay, if you guys don't have any questions, let's go ahead and play with our calculators. Okay, so last thing I want to show you guys today is how to make a histogram on your TIs. So pull that out, and we're going to use the example in the back. All right, so we're going to use this example with our calculators. We're going to type in the data into the calculator. Okay, so right here, go ahead and hit the Stat button. And then you're going to hit Enter where it says Edit. So Enter. And I already typed in the data, so you need to go ahead and type in all that data. So 54.6, 34.3, et cetera, et cetera. So go ahead and type in your data into list 1. All right, now that you guys have all the data typed in, to graph a histogram, this is where we're gonna have all our graphs, okay? You're gonna hit the blue button that says second at the top left, and then right above it, you should see like a smaller button that says y is equal to, but in blue above it, it says stat plot. All right, so we're gonna go second, stat plot, and you should see this. All right, so you have 3 places to put graphs, and we're just gonna use plot 1. So press enter to enter into plot 1. Turn it on if it's not on already. And then go down to type, and you wanna be on the histogram, which is the 3rd one. Your X list is already L1. So that's good because we typed everything into L1, okay? Now, to get like an initial look at the histogram, go ahead and hit zoom in the middle right here. And we're gonna do zoom stat, right, which is 9. So you can either scroll down or you can just hit zoom and the number 9. And you should see something like this. All right, how are we doing so far? Cool. Any questions so far? Okay, sorry. I just realized there's like a picture of a battery like full, which I'm kind of curious on a laptop how you don't have a full battery on the calculator. Anyway, okay, so this is what it looks like. Now, if you want to see like the heights of these bars, you hit trace at the very top, right next to zoom. And you can see that you have one between 34.3 to 47.2. All right, you have one data point between those. You have 3 data points between 47.2 and 60.1. Now, the thing is, I don't really like these intervals, right? These intervals are kind of weird. So to change the intervals, to make it a little nicer, go to Window, which is to the left of Zoom. And we can actually kind of create those bins however you want. So let's say we want to go from 30, right, to 100. All right, so 30 all the way to 100, let's say jumping by tens. Okay, so that's how you would do it. So lowest number is 30, highest number is 100, and I want to jump by tens. The Y min, I'll just make like negative, 2, just so I kind of have, I can see my horizontal line. Oh, oops. What did I do? Oh, negative. Oh, shoot. How do I do negative on my laptop? Okay, never mind. I'm going to make that 0. Sorry. I don't know how to do negative on my laptop. Y max, I'll just make a large enough number so I know the highest bar will clear, and then jumping by ones. Okay, once you have that, just hit graph. And then now you can see your histogram with those bins. So if we hit trace, you can see, okay, I have one between 30 and 40. I have one between 40 and 50. 2 between 50 and 60, 0 between 60 and 70, 1 between 70, 80, 4 between 80, 90, and 10 between 90 and 100. All right, and that way you can customize what the intervals are for your histogram. Okay, guys, and that's how you do a histogram on your calculator. Any questions? Let's see, I got something in the chat. Hold on, let me click on the button next to enter button. I'll give you that. Oh, the button next to the enter button. Oh, you're so smart. I was typing on my laptop and I couldn't find the negative sign on my laptop. But yes, I actually do have a calculator on here as well. So let me go back and make this -2. There we go. Now you can actually see the horizontal line. Thank you. And this seems like a little high. So let me make this 12. There we go. All right, guys. So pretty cool that your calculator can do that for you. Okay. All right, questions. Okay, let me go ahead and stop the recording.